my recommendation to you is do not get legally married.
Post-election, I don't see myself getting married.
So if you're unhappy in your marriage, now might be the time to act.
You know why? Because they want to return us to a time when women were baby factories.
You need to take a step back and you need to think about it, because if you're seriously considering it, you need to do it now.
No fault divorce ends. Just know you're going to see a surge of romantic men. The safest thing to do by far would just be to not get married under any circumstances.
Hey guys, welcome back to More to Life. Now, before I get into this video, I ask that you like, comment, subscribe. Also, smash that notification bell just to be sure you get on my videos as soon as I release them. Let's get right into this. The new ban on no-fault divorce is finally coming. You already know, brought it into action. The man who was just elected, because a lot of them are no good. I'm just being real. But modern women are furious, mad, right? Because you have women that are trad wives, modern women. And these are the modern women. Let's get right into it.
PSA to my ladies who live in the US. If the conservatives are successful in getting rid of no-fault divorces, my recommendation to you is do not get legally married. Do not tie yourself to someone legally if you're not going to be able to get out of it easily. It's very, very, very difficult to prove the other prongs for divorce. And ultimately, it puts you in a situation where you are hoping that your partner is willing to divorce you. So you have to make them want to leave you. I mean, you have to make it so good for them that they don't want to ruin your life, which a lot of people end up wanting to do when it comes time for divorce. So that's my recommendation. If y'all still want to get married, best of luck, okay?
Why is the first thing you're thinking is safety? Your first thought is love. When you want to get married, you're like, oh, I love this man. Not, oh, I can't get divorced. That's wild. I got to play this next clip because she actually says it. Let's get right into that.
I've been with my partner for almost 11 years, and a couple weeks ago I was like, should we get married, like for the protections, and so that like if one of us passes unexpectedly, we can inherit each other's stuff more easily. But I'll tell you what, post-election, I don't see myself getting married because they're coming for no-fault divorce, and they're coming for it now. In Texas, a Republican has already filed for something that is called covenant marriage, a legal arrangement that has been favored by some conservative Christians. Under House Bill 931, both parties within a marriage would have to agree to a divorce in order for a court to grant it. Before that, they'd also have to undergo at least 5 hours of counseling by a member of the clergy or a licensed mental health professional. No-fault divorce is what we currently have, and that's where you say, hey, I want to get a divorce. You can just file for divorce and the judge can grant it. This is important because it allows people to leave abusive marriages. If you're in an abusive marriage and you're in a state that has a law like this, your abuser would need to agree to the divorce before it would be granted. 99% of domestic abuse involves financial abuse. Financial abuse is things like forbidding someone to work, not allowing them access to a bank account, withholding money for that, controlling how they spend their money. Have you ever tried to spend a day without spending money? It can be very difficult. If you can't pay for the bus, if you can't fill up your gas tank, if you can't buy yourself food, it's very difficult to do anything. Financial abuse is a very strong form of control over another person, and covenant marriage allows people to have more control over their spouse. So, no, I don't see myself getting married anytime soon.
So she wanted to marry for safety, thought about the idea. It was a great idea. It is, because you love the person, right? You want to make sure the right person, say if you pass, has access to your things and can take care of certain situations for you. She just brought up everything that can go wrong. Why do they always do that? Survival mode. Oh, I can't get divorced. This. It's like they're having an orgasm, but not in a good way. Paranoid. This is damaging, but it's fine though. It's fine though, because that happens to me. I'm thinking, I'm looking at her laughing. Seriously, I'm the guy. I'm like, I'm with you right now, and we're not married. So if I don't have to put a ring on your finger, you don't get most of my money. Okay, You don't want to get married no more? Okay, I didn't want to get married. That's what the guy could be thinking, right? Crazy.
This is a PSA for any of the ladies that have been seriously considering divorcing their husband. There's a lot of big conversations happening now that we have the results of the election, one of them being no-fault divorce. That is a type of divorce that allows you to end your marriage without needing to prove that anyone is at fault. Some lawmakers are looking to abolish that, which is going to make you divorcing your husband a lot harder. So here's what that potential change could mean for you. You're going to have to prove that your husband did something wrong, which can be even more expensive, emotionally draining, and time consuming. Legal battles over fault can keep you in an endless and very expensive fight. Removing no-fault divorce could mean higher conflict in court, which is certainly not ideal for your kids or you. Without no-fault divorce, you lose the freedom to decide when to leave your marriage. Your private decision could be left up to someone else's idea of what's right. So if you're unhappy in your marriage, now might be the time to act. Protect your right to choose what is best for you and your kids.
This woman is crazy.
Before it's taken away. Because the reasons that you want to leave your marriage are no one else's business.
So what's best for you and your kids? What does your kids have to do with anything? Your kids, like what? From what? Like what? But man, and she's saying that doing her makeup, and like a guy seeing you do this. Seriously, my wife doesn't wake up in the morning and paint her face. So seeing you do this, I'm your husband. I would want to divorce you, seriously, because I don't deal with this. Oh, honey, let's go. But we're just going to the store real quick. No, wait, I can't divorce. It's getting wild, but for them, I think there's going to be a lot of guys that end up with ladies with sound minds. That's what's going to happen. They're going to be mentally sound in the way they think and the way they act, and they're going to do it for love. Love is finally going to be real again. It is.
If you subscribe to Project 2025, getting a divorce is about to be much, much harder. As if getting a divorce wasn't emotionally taxing enough, if Project 2025 has its way, you would have to prove why you are getting a divorce. To start, the burden of proof is going to be on the filing spouse. This means they're going to be responsible for providing substantial proof of fault and wrongful conduct of the other party.
Finally.
So you would have to dive into the emotional, intimate details of your marriage with significant proof of wrongdoing. That's going to make it pretty expensive and time consuming just to be eligible for one. If that becomes eliminated, yet again, we're removing rights from individuals and states and placing them in the federal government's hands. We will have effectively handed them our reproductive rights and our rights to pick and choose who we marry, which they're already trying to limit. Hey women, what do you think happens when we don't have a right to pick when we reproduce? And we don't have access to affordable childcare. Who do you think is staying home when we don't have maternity leave? Who do you think is staying home when we have to prove how to leave this marriage? What do you think happens in the situation where they don't have access to funds to prove to get out of the relationship? What happens then? Is it the men or the women who suffer?
I didn't see anything about them taking away maternity leave. Maybe I must have bumped my head, but still, more and more of worst case scenarios. That's all they do, right? Throw the worst case scenario at the world, because this is on TikTok, and get women to support fair, false evidence appearing real. It's time for women to be moral. That's all they're asking, is to have a little morals. But hey, who am I to say anything?
I think the next thing that is coming is outlawing no-fault divorce. So JD Vance has spoken up how he believes that we should ban no-fault divorce, meaning that women can no longer get divorced. I grew up in high control religion. I saw the overturn of Roe v. Wade coming because I attended their rallies and I heard my whole life about how my generation was going to be the ones to overturn Roe v. Wade and all the steps they were doing to do that, and they did that. The other thing that I have heard growing up is that no marriages should end in divorce and that we should ban no-fault divorce, and that is their second thing that they're doing. So this is going to cause women in relationships to not be able to exit those relationships. A lot of Christians believe that divorce isn't even allowable in the cases of physical or emotional abuse. So even if a woman has her life at stake, she can separate, but she cannot be divorced, which means she is forever tied to her husband. J.D. Vance has said that he wants to continue this, and so I am not kidding when I say all of our women's rights are on the line with this election.
Project 2025 is coming after no-fault divorce. Do you know why? Because they want to return us to a time when women were baby factories and relied on their husbands for financial survival. This article, written by Emma Waters in 2022 for the Heritage Foundation, Waters lays the groundwork for opposing no-fault divorce. Now, don't forget, who is the primary organizer of Project 2025? That's right, the Heritage Foundation. Take a look at this 2023 CNN article. This explains the ramp up in Christian nationalist commentators like Matt Walsh, who continually complain about no-fault divorces and how it harms men. It also explains how House Speaker Mike Johnson has been an opponent of no-fault divorce for years, even though the data clearly shows that because of no-fault divorce, there has been an 8 to 16% reduction in the number of women intentionally unaliving themselves. Also, the number of women who have been exposed to domestic violence has been reduced drastically. All thanks to no-fault divorce. In an article earlier this month in The Guardian, it's reported that lawmakers in Oklahoma, Louisiana, Nebraska, and of course Texas are working to oppose no-fault divorce. You know what this means. It's only a matter of time before other states will follow. We know that Project 2025 is one of the biggest threats to human rights. Project 2025 clearly lays out how they plan to replace all federal employees with Trump loyalists. We also know that Project 2025 is happening right now with the attack on the LGBTQ rights, the elimination of DEI programs, Christian nationalists opposing IVF, and now they're coming after contraception. Under Project 2025, all protections against discrimination based on gender or sexual identity will be eliminated. Project 2025 prioritizes Christian nationalism. It ensures that only white Christian men will remain in power. They do not care who suffers underneath this power structure. Stay awake, use your voice, and vote.
Now, you notice she spoke on a guy's name, right? In one of these Christian pastors. And he said he knows men that were affected by no-fault divorce in a harsh way. And myself, I do as well. I see guys come to the Philippines all the time after a tragic divorce. I see guys get taken for millions. Some guys make a lot of money and get taken for millions and get their homes taken from them. I see them lied against to where there's some sort of petition you can file. You guys will know it, as I stated, where they'll lie and say the man was abusive towards her, right? Sometimes even going to the level or going to the furthest extent of harming themselves. So when they come, they look like they're in turmoil, and they end up filing a ruling to get you out of the house. And they can file that ruling without you being there. They don't even have to show proof. That's what's happening now. So they're getting you out of your home that you've been paying for so many years. Maybe you was paying for this home for 20 years. So you're kicked out of that home in a no-fault divorce. But not with no-fault divorce, but with this certain law. You're kicked out, so she's given the home. And you're kicked out immediately. These things are happening. I've actually reacted to videos of that happening. These things are happening, and you talk about the unaliving. You know who's unaliving themselves now? Men that are going to divorce, seeing their lives ripped apart. They're unaliving themselves right now. That's going to help out the men. And you know what? So many people I've seen, so many ladies have a come up off of a man. That's being stopped now. That's really what's happening. The other stuff, yeah, I guess that's a problem, but this needs to be done.
It's time to stop. No more.
So what do you do with this information? I have seen other creators on Instagram, Facebook, here on TikTok, who are encouraging people that if you are thinking about divorce, you should go ahead and file it as soon as possible prior to Inauguration Day, which is January 20th. That makes me a little uneasy, honestly, to recommend sort of carte blanche to people that you just need to run to court and file for divorce. What I will be doing is, for any new clients that I do have, people that are coming in anyway, I will be advising them that this is a potential change in the law, that this is something that they might want to consider, and let them weigh their options. Another thing I encourage people to do is, if you are getting married, go ahead before January 20th and get a prenuptial agreement. It is possible that those could be honored as contracts because they were made prior to the removal of no-fault divorce. And so that's something else to consider. Third thing is definitely to write to your congressman and your senator, whether you are in a red state or a blue state, and express your concern about this change in law, because even if you like it and you think it is a good thing for some reason, you really have to think about the financial implications. The taxes to fund such a system, where right now the system that is in place in your community services only 5% of the cases. So you would logically, even if you doubled, tripled that, and you look around at your local courthouse, how many judges do you have in your county? How many staff members do they have? Even if you doubled that and looked at that budget, the property tax increase, sales tax, however it is that they would fund this, would be astronomical to every single community. The end result would be that it would take people, 10 years or more to get divorced. And I think if that plays out in either way, as I stated in the last video, people just aren't going to get married, which is going to have sort of the opposite effect of the entire intention. If you have any questions at all, you can always check the link in my bio. My email address is there. Our website is there. We have more information about this. I also host the Amicable Divorce Network podcast, and we have episodes we already did about no-fault divorce with one of our members in Texas, because this was going to be on the ballot. So if you want to do a deeper dive, check into those resources.
This is going to help guys out so much. It is, because you're going to have a lot. You'll be dealing with a woman. Say you meet her at a bar, right? You talk to her, or you met her somewhere else, even through a friend, and then you fall in love. And then you propose to her, she accepts, or that conversation comes up. She doesn't accept. She says, well, I don't think I want to do it because of this, and that. Because I can't marry you if I want a divorce. The guy's going to say, what? Just like the other girl. So you don't want to marry me? So your love isn't real. Just think about it. Seriously, all those guys are watching right now. That's what's going to happen. You're going to go, this wasn't the one for me. And you keep moving on. Yeah, it hurts, but you keep moving on. You can smile now saying, this probably helped.
Project 2025 is coming after no-fault divorce. Do you know why? Because they want to return us to a time when women were baby factories and relied on their husbands for financial survival. This article, written by Emma Waters in 2022 for the Heritage Foundation, Waters lays the groundwork for opposing no-fault divorce. Now, don't forget who is the primary organizer of Project 2025. That's right, the Heritage Foundation. Take a look at this 2023 CNN article. This explains the ramp up in Christian nationalist commentators like Matt Walsh continually complain about no-fault divorces and how it harms men. It also explains how House Speaker Mike Johnson has been an opponent of no-fault divorce for years, even though the data clearly shows that because of no-fault divorce, there has been an 8 to 16% reduction in the number of women intentionally unaliving themselves. Also, the number of women who have been exposed to domestic violence has been reduced drastically. all thanks to no-fault divorce. In an article earlier this month in The Guardian, it reported that lawmakers in Oklahoma, Louisiana, Nebraska, and of course Texas are working to oppose no-fault divorce. You know what this means. It's only a matter of time before other states will follow. We know that Project 2025 is one of the biggest threats to human rights. Project 2025 clearly lays out how they plan to replace all federal employees with Trump loyalists. We also know that Project 2025 is happening right now with the attack on the LGBTQ rights, the elimination of DEI programs, Christian nationalists opposing IVF, and now they're coming after contraception. Under Project 2025, all protections against discrimination based on gender or sexual identity will be eliminated. Project 2025 prioritizes Christian nationalism. It ensures that only white Christian men will remain in power. They do not care who suffers underneath this power structure. Stay awake, use your voice, and vote.
Now, she said they want it like it was back in the day in the 40s or 20s, but it's not like that anymore. Like, that's why I liked watching Home Math, right? He broke it down on how you have taken over power. Feminism has worked. We're equal now. The 50-50 talk needs to be inputted in every relationship because you're winning. You can win now. Women are winning everywhere. They have laws out there for you. You have so many things in your favor. The only thing now, finally, men have some equality when it comes to no-fault divorce being eliminated. Because now they get to know who's really for them. That's what's happening. If you think about it, think long, hard, and deep about it. That's what it is. The women that are on the other side championing it on, saying, yes, this is what we need. Finally, we have something in play to stop the madness, because what's been happening is madness. Guys, I want to get into this. I want to show the madness really quickly. It says there are 86 divorces every hour compared to 230 marriages an hour. So that's what, about 24%? Oh, actually more than that. That's almost half. So it says marriage and divorce rates in the U.S. are decreasing for a range of reasons. Now, it's decreasing, but last year, or a couple of years, I think before that, I think last year, it was 43%. This year is 41%. And it says 41% of marriages also were in divorce. Now, it's not decreasing by a whole lot, but it says as many as 60% of second marriages won't make it. It says the average lifespan of a first marriage before divorce is 8 years. This is a problem. Things like no-fault divorce ended will stop this from happening. It's madness. It truly is. And also, it helps the country, right? Because the more married people they have, the more money. But I'll tell you what's going to happen. There may be a decrease in divorce, and it shows the truth. It really does. It truly does. It shows the truth and how you really feel for the man you say you loved.
Facts. This is a message to all of my married women friends. Now that Donald Trump is going to be our next president, Project 2025 is going to be in full swing. And I have something that I really want you to think about. If you are currently in a marriage that you're not sure you want to be in, that is abusive, or even if you just no longer have things in common and you want to get out, they are going to try and get rid of no-fault divorce, which means that you would have to prove beyond reasonable doubt the abuse or whatever it happened to be for your reason of getting out of the marriage. And if your husband objects to it, you may not still be able to get a divorce. So this is something super important for you to think about, Before all of these things start happening, if you are in a place where you do not feel safe in your marriage or whatever, you need to take a step back and you need to think about it, because if you're seriously considering it, you need to do it now rather than later. We got no-fault divorce over 50 years ago. And when that happened, there was a huge reduction in the amount of married women who were committing suicide because they didn't have another way out. So I just want you to think about it. This is serious business. If you no longer want to be married, if you are in a position where you need to be out, do it now and don't wait. And I'm really sorry I had to make this message.
Ladies, walk with me for a second. If or when no-fault divorce ends, just know you're going to see a surge of romantic men. These men are going to be seemingly perfect and so considerate and not at all like other guys. And they're going to swear up and down that they voted for Kamala.
That's a who said.
And they're going to manipulate and lie to you in any way they possibly can, so you get your guard down just long enough for them to slip a ring on your finger. In the second that marriage contract is signed, they're going to reveal themselves to be some of the most misogynistic men you have ever met.
You can't make this up.
Because at that point, you're legally stuck with them, so they finally feel comfortable enough to be their true selves around you. And the thing is, men already do this. So many wives already talk about how their oh-so-loving boyfriend switched the moment they either got married or had their first child. But once men know for a fact that there's little that you can do to escape them once you get married, they're going to say and do anything to put a ring on it. They will go to any length. They will travel any distance. They will do whatever they gotta do to ensnare you.
So you're single.
So don't be out here thinking that you somehow lucked into meeting your Prince Charming in Trump's America. Odds are, he's manipulating you. And the worst part is that even if he isn't, if you get married, you will still and eternally be at your husband's mercy. The safest thing to do by far would just be to not get married under any circumstances. The best thing to do would be to be completely celibate. But if you still want to date men, then date men. Just don't sign your life away on a marriage contract.
Stop it. Get some help.
And don't trust anyone who will try to guilt trip you or pressure you or shame you into a marriage. Trust me, that pressure will come from all sides. A marriage will be your prison sentence. Anyways, up the 4B movement, and thank you for your time.
Let them panic. Let them panic. Everyone that's panicking are people looking for a way out, right? Every time they get into a relationship, they're thinking about the exit. There's no more fairy tale. There's no more getting married for dream weddings any longer. All the lies you tell are done. It is. Everything is going back to how it was in 1968. So before 1968, it was the golden days. Am I going to sit here and say some people didn't go through it? Yes, I believe some people went through it, but it's gotten so out of hand, something had to be done. It was necessary. This is necessary. And as far as no-fault divorce coming into play, I think it's a great thing, because so many men have been burned, and it's been happening for over 20 years now. 1969, that's a long time. Thousands, close to 1 million a year divorce every year. It's crazy. They said this will happen in the end times, but we're here now. But yeah, y'all. Thank y'all for watching. See you next video.